The Iranians, they're officially full members now of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. They officially acceded yesterday. And I mean, look at the Zoom call. I mean, that's quite the Zoom call, I must admit. You got Xi Jinping over here. You got where's Putin? He's not in this frame. I don't see him in this frame. But you got Iran over there, Lukashenko, and then underneath him, Raisi, Modi. Wow, that's quite the Zoom call, I must say. So they had this basically online session, and let's talk about why Iran's membership is so important and why the SCO itself is so important. Okay, so just to recap and kind of jog your memories, this is the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Obviously, now we should take Iran from this observer status box and drop it into the member states. So now they're 9. And you can see this is China, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Russia, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, India, Pakistan. These are countries, 4 of them have nuclear weapons. So China, Iran, China, my brain was like, not Iran. Remember that they have a civilian program. Anyway, it's China, Russia, India, and Pakistan. And of course, we talk about Russia and Iran. Look at the amount of gas that they have. These are the countries with the most proven reserves of natural gas on Earth. Number 1 is Russia. Number 2 is Iran. Russia and China and Iran also have exceptional militaries, right? Look at the drone capabilities that Iran has. Look at the electronic warfare capabilities that Russia has. This is outstanding. And anyone would want Iran as a member. Keep in mind, these countries, these 9 countries, they represent 40% of the world's population in the SCO. That's why you should care about the SCO. It's not exactly, but almost half of the world's population are in the SCO now, and 30% of the world's GDP, I believe. Okay, so I mean, this is incredible. And the SCO is not exactly like NATO. I know some people like to draw this comparison. It's not correct, because NATO is a bit more centralized and standardized. They use common ammunition like 5.56 rounds. They have interoperability. Their troops are more integrated together. They have clauses for mutual defense, like Article 5. So the SCO is not that deep into standardization of the militaries and so on. But it is still a security and alliance of importance, and it's the largest. If you look at it, it's the largest regional alliance on the planet, and that speaks for itself. So I'm just going to play you some of the clips here. These are some of Putin's comments during the session. Again, what a Zoom call.
Накопление долгов развитых стран, социального расслоения и роста бедности по всему миру, ухудшение продовольственной и экологической безопасности. И все эти проблемы, каждая из которых по-своему сложна и многообразна, в своей совокупности ведут к заметному увеличению конфликтного потенциала. Россия ощущает все это непосредственно на себе. Долгое время у наших границ внешними силами реализовывался проект по созданию из соседней с нами страны Украины фактически враждебного государства, антироссии. Ее накачивали оружием 8 лет, попустительствовали агрессии против мирного населения Донбасса и всячески потакали в насаждении неонацистской идеологии. И все это для того, чтобы поставить под удар безопасность России, сдержать развитие нашей страны. И сейчас против нас, по сути, ведется гибридная война, используются беспрецедентные по масштабу нелегитимные антироссийские санкции. Хотел бы подчеркнуть, что Россия уверенно противостоит и будет противостоять внешнему давлению, санкциям и провокациям. И в нынешней обстановке наша страна продолжает устойчиво развиваться. Российский народ как никогда консолидирован. Сплоченность и высокую ответственность за судьбу Отечества российские политические круги, все общество наглядно продемонстрировали, выступив единым фронтом против попытки вооруженного мятежа.
Right, so he's talking about Wagner, and the only commentary and analysis that you have in the Western media is that, wow, well, Putin is trying to assert himself and show that he is strong and in control, and it's his first appearance in public, or shall we say, a first meeting that he's attended since the coup, and they're still obsessed with this idea that Putin he almost fell from his throne and he was almost couped. I mean, this is preposterous. Like I said, if you want to look at the situation in France, Macron has a bigger issue on his hands than Putin ever did with Wagner, and you don't see them drawing the same kind of conclusions. And their only takeaway from all of this is that, well, Putin is trying to, reassert himself. No, man, that's not the takeaway here. The takeaway is that you have the multipolar world, taking shape before your eyes. The multipolar world manifested in the flesh. Now, again, I've said this before. This doesn't mean tomorrow morning, oh my God, the dollar is going to be obsolete and the United States will be, and Europe will fall. First of all, no one is praying for that. I mean, the dollar maybe, but no one is anti-United States or anti-West. They even said this during this summit or online summit of the SCO. They literally made this point that, the SCO is not meant to be an anti-NATO or anti-Western alliance. It's just a regional bloc. It's just countries working together. There's multilateral cooperation in security and trade, and that's it. It's a peaceful thing. It's a good thing. It's a constructive thing. But the reason it's important is because you have countries that have been vilified by the United States. And they are using different avenues, different ways to not only, get back on their feet, but craft and form and shape and mold a new world. Again, we're not going to go George Bush here and say New World Order. We're just multipolar world, right? It's not one hegemon. It's not one power or hyperpower. It's multiple powers, and they work together. So the SCO is one of those things. I'll talk about BRICS in a second. Let me show you this speech from Iran, right? Since Iran is kind of the star of the show today, having become a full member. And by the way, just so this is clear, Iran actually applied in September 2021. So they've been waiting quite a while, right? I'm pretty sure the war got in the way. But as a matter of fact, it's because of the war that things like this, like its accession to become an SCO member, have materialized. You need to remember that the Ukraine war is not just happening inside of Ukraine. It's had a ripple effect globally, in positive ways and negative ways. I think the most serious negative thing is the threat of nuclear war. It's even worse than in the Cold War, which is unbelievable to me. My mind cannot even grasp this. I cannot understand this. It's so shocking. But one of the positive aspects is something like this, where you have, BRICS now really seriously talking about dumping the dollar and using local currencies or an alternative currency just for trade, right? So they don't abandon their currencies and adopt something like the euro. No, they have their own currencies, and then in addition they have a trade currency. Okay, and now they're talking about backing it with gold. And again, I want to talk about BRICS in a second. But let's focus on the SCO. And here's Iran's speech. This is Raisi, their president.
Гегемонии западных сторон западного мира способствует гегемонии доллара.
I suppose let's just keep the subtitles. There you go. There you go. See, he's talking about the currencies, right? Yeah, so this is, a very obvious point, but it's so obvious that people often forget. Why are sanctions effective? It's because of the dollar. Okay, so if it weren't for the dollar, and the fact that most countries have the dollar as their reserve currency, and most transactions in the world are done in dollars, not just oil, but in general. If it weren't for that, sanctions would still hurt, but not to this point. But the irony here is that the United States have sanctioned China, Russia, Iran. They've sanctioned these countries so much, we have reached a point where it's starting to backfire, okay? And it's not funny because like, oh, ha ha ha, people are going to suffer from higher gas prices in Europe and the US. No, nobody wants that. It's funny because it's kind of ironic, you know? It's that now these countries, they have become a majority, right? They've again, we're talking about 40% of the world's population just in the SCO alone. They have become, you know, so many of them have become sanctioned. They're just like making their own system now. Okay. Let me play you. This is Xi Jinping from China, China's president.
大道不孤，众行致远。上海合作组织顺应当今时代潮流，契合人类进步方向，一定能够在我们的共同努力下，不断发展壮大。大道不孤。
I like how upbeat he is, and that sounds like a Chinese proverb. A just cause finds great support, and a journey with many companions gets far. I like that. It sounds really nice. Here is Modi. So the Indian Prime Minister. I have something interesting to say about Pakistan and India in a second. I'll just play him his clip first.
The best to the Iranian people, and I would like to wish the best to the Iranian people and to President Raisi. A memorandum of intent will be signed by the Republic of Belarus, and in order to become a full member of the organization, and we want the focus of this organization to be expanded to include the Central Asian states.
Man, he spoiled what I was going to say. Okay, so he I don't know if you picked up on that, but he said that Belarus have now applied and they are expected to join next year. Again, very important. You know, Belarus is a strong Russian ally. It's in the region, and the bloc expands. The alliance expands, and with India and Pakistan, and I'll play you Pakistan's prime minister in a second. India and Pakistan, they are both countries with nuclear weapons, and they're also countries that are at each other's throats. You know, again, typical British behavior. You know, we just go in and carve up countries, and then they're still fighting 100 years later because of what we do. But the other thing is that India has issues with China, right? They have had these skirmishes or attacks, you know, where on their border with I think dozens of troops killed up until now, and that's very sad, of course, you know, because these are the most populous countries on earth. They are very important to the world economy. They both have formidable armies, and they matter a lot. And I think it's the fact that they are all in the SCO proves my point that they can still find ways to cooperate with each other and put differences aside. And look, you got China with India, India with Pakistan, everything's fine. And, you know, obviously these are things that still need to be resolved, but I think it expresses a really optimistic and mature outlook because, you know, the whole idea behind a multipolar world is that you have these countries, you know, they don't have to agree all of the time. On the contrary, Imran Khan, I played you this clip, he was saying that if, you know, he should be the Pakistani prime minister. They couped him, but you know, he was saying that the whole point is that you should have and be able to have a non-aligned foreign policy, right? So this goes back to the non-aligned movement, which was spawned during the Cold War. So instead of, you know, deciding to be, I want to be with the West or I want to be with the East, with, you know, with the Russians or with the Americans, I want to be on my own. And this is what most countries did. Not all of them, but most of them, right? In Indonesia and Bali. So they formed the non-aligned movement. That's where this comes from. That's actually where the term third world comes from. I don't know why it turned into a negative term. You know, now we just say global south. It just means the rest of the countries that are not Russia and the US, or Russia and, you know, the global north. And, you know, he's right, because India, look at India's foreign policy. India is not as heavily sanctioned as China and Russia and Iran, for example. On the contrary, actually, India and the US are very, very close allies. But India also buys Russian weapons, a lot of Russian weapons. And that usually gets you slapped with sanctions. Look at Turkey, which is a NATO member. You know, it's kind of outrageous, because the whole point behind NATO is you use the same system. You know, everything's standardized, and Turkey's just like, no. Well, I guess you know, they're right to go for the S-400. It is a superior system. But in any case, you know, India buys Russian weapons and buys Russian oil and gas, right? As a matter of fact, India has refused both to condemn Russia and to sanction Russia, and increased its purchases of Russian oil. So, you know, it does that while also maintaining good relations with the United States, or walking a tightrope, shall we put it, right? Shall we put it that way? Or just like Turkey does. And you look at Iran, and you look at China, and you look at Russia, they have completely different foreign policies compared to what I just described to you with India. So I think the fact that all these countries are together, it's amazing. And it's one vector of the multipolar world. Now, I'll continue in just a moment. Here's the Pakistani Prime Minister.
I am pleased to once again address this august gathering of SCO leaders. We thank India for its stewardship of the SCO this past year. And I congratulate Kazakhstan on assuming the chairmanship of SCO for 2023-24. My best wishes to my brother, His Excellency Qasim Jomart Tokayev, President of Kazakhstan, as the incoming SCO chairman. And I'm very confident that under his sagacious leadership, the SCO will continue to grow and prosper. Let me also congratulate my brother, President Ibrahim Raisi, on the Islamic Republic of Iran's accession to the SCO. As a full member, we warmly welcome you and are confident that Iran's inclusion will immensely benefit this organization. We also look forward to welcoming Belarus, another friend of Pakistan, as a full member at the next summit. I am also delighted to congratulate Bahrain, Kuwait, Maldives, Myanmar, and United Arab Emirates on their accession as new dialogue partners.
Right. So new dialogue partners are not exactly, they don't exactly have observer status or full member status, right? It's still important, though. It's still good. It shows you that the SCO is attractive. The SCO is desirable. People want to be in it. They understand the value that it brings. They understand the role that it plays. And this goes hand in hand with countries applying to join BRICS. Look how the membership applications have skyrocketed. You got like 20 countries now who want to join BRICS. You know, it's the hottest thing because as I was saying before, the Ukraine war has spawned, in a way, it's accelerated this transition. And like I said, it's going to take time, and it's not something that happens, overnight. But these countries are openly talking now about dropping the dollar, adopting different trade currencies, backing their currencies with gold, with things that are actually tangible instead of just printing money like crazy and, running debt. And they actually produce things and have things. Like I said, Iran it's not only got a successful military and military technology and economy and scientists and so on and so on. Iran, in terms of resources, again, think of these countries, man. They're sitting on top of gold mines, literal gold mines. I mean, Iran has so much gas and so much oil, just like Russia does as well. Each one of these countries brings their own thing to the table, and these are, like I said, these are the most populous countries, India and China. The their power in terms not just of land mass and population, but resources, and then of course the soft power. All of this counts. And they're not going to tell you this in the Western media because, it doesn't look good. Why would they make you feel like SCO is the best thing? And, why isn't Europe part of it? Why isn't the United States part of it? I mean, they're open to join, but again, this is a regional bloc in the case of SCO. But the reason that they made this clear, especially now that this is not an anti-Western alliance or organization, is precisely because countries like India are in it, where India wants to walk this tightrope, and I guarantee you, Turkey will want to join very, very soon. And I see Azerbaijan are already dialogue partners. Oh, so is Turkey. Yep, so is Turkey. I knew I'd seen it. Yeah. So these are countries, and especially Turkey, they're not just U.S. partners. Turkey's a NATO member state, right? Largest army in NATO. Think about that. Of course, the reason they added Turkey in the first place was because they could put themselves close to Russia. But this is very, very good. It's very promising. And, I expect more and more countries will join. You'll see, it's just like BRICS. It will skyrocket. And, this is good for Iran because Iran, the United States has tried to isolate it for years now with people like Elliot Abrams, which we were talking about earlier. But it's not just him, it's a running constant policy, and it's failing. It's failing. This is not just good for the SCO. It looks good for Iran because it shows that Iran is able to transcend and overcome these sanctions. Not just their impact to the economy, to the people, but I'm talking about politically, on the international stage, because the idea is not just to inflict economic harm on the countries. That's the main goal, right? To make people suffer. It's also to isolate the country politically, and of course, in addition to their oil sector, banking sector, financial, etc. And that's failed. That has failed. Iran is not isolated because this is a new world. This is a world where you have Iran now, Iran's accession to the SCO with all of these countries, and that speaks volumes and pretty much says it all.